Hi everyone, I'm Joe, and today I'm going to be talking about all the movies that I watched at the cinema during the month of October 2017. Now, October was another really good month for the cinema. I watched 4 films and I really enjoyed all 4 of them. And without any delay, I'll get straight on talking about the first one, which is Blade Runner 2049. This is directed by Denis Villeneuve. I'm fairly sure I'm pronouncing his surname correctly, but I could be mistaken. It stars Harrison Ford, Ryan Gosling and Ana de Armas. Now this is, unsurprisingly, a sequel to the original 80s Blade Runner, which is a science fiction classic. That film is based off the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which I actually happen to own and I happen to think is a really good book. I do not like the original Blade Runner film though. I mean, I've watched it a couple of times just simply because of what it is and because I like the book. But the original film never really worked for me. However, this new one did. I thought this was much better. It was cleaner, crisper. The plot, I felt, went together better. And overall, I actually preferred this than Blade Runner. Although, if you hadn't watched Blade Runner before, I would not recommend watching this one. But if you watch Blade Runner, then 2049, because otherwise they'll be a bit frankly weird watching them out of sequence, because they do follow on surprisingly well. Actually, I was kind of a bit wary how well it would follow on, despite it being a big film and the expectation of it following on to be high. Honestly, I kind of thought it'd be a bit of a mess, actually, to be honest, because they do seem to have a reputation, certain big Hollywood films, of messing up things when they try to release a sequel to an older film. Generally a disaster. This wasn't, frankly. So I was actually surprised, pleasantly surprised I should say. And overall I would recommend this because it's well acted, well filmed, visually it's extremely clean and just, it's modern and nicely done, and I was impressed overall. The second film that I watched in October was The Mountain Between Us, which was directed by Hani Abu-Assad. This stars Idris Elba, Kate Winslet, and has a small but important role by Beau Bridges. Now, the idea of this is relatively simple. Idris Elba and Kate Winslet are 2 people that they've never met before up until they bump into each other at the airport. They both need to get to another city really badly. Idris Elba is a doctor and he needs to do surgery. Kate Winslet is getting married, and they both need to get there desperately, and they end up hiring Beau Bridges. However, the plane crashes due to obviously a medical complication on Beau Bridges' character, and they're basically stranded in this isolated mountain range in America, and they've got all they've got is themselves and a few very basic resources that they had on them, like a couple of bars of chocolate that was in one of their bags and such. And they've now got to basically get down from the mountain. But the title of it, The Mountain Between Us, doesn't actually refer to the mountain between them and civilization. It refers to something else that I'm not going to go into because it's something that I didn't quite expect. Some people might, but I didn't, because I didn't really know what kind of film it was when I first watched it, to be honest. It just looked interesting from the trailers, being a sort of like a survival film, and obviously the 2 main actors in it being who they are, I expected pretty good things from it, and I was actually quite impressed by it overall because it's extremely well made. The cinematography and the editing was extremely good, and just overall it was a really good and very impressive film, which I didn't really know much about beforehand, so I'm very happy that I took a chance and I just watched it because it's well worth it. The third film that I watched was The Snowman. This was directed by Thomas Alfredson. It stars Michael Fassbender, Rebecca Ferguson and Charlotte Gainsbourg. Now, this is based off the book of the same name by Joe Nesbo. Obviously, of course, I believe they do go off in a slightly different direction from the book, of course, but then they always do that with book to film adaptation, and frankly I always think most of the time they need it, because books are obviously written in a particular way, obviously for reading consumption. Films are a visual medium with sound. It has to be different because it just doesn't work in the same way. It can't be too faithful, frankly, otherwise it would be most of the time weird and it probably wouldn't work very well. This did work well. It is about basically a serial killer, and he's killing people in a certain way, and the main character, called Harry Hole, played by Michael Fassbender, has to basically track him down, and he has a help from a local detective who has got personal reasons to be involved with this case, and it's well thought up, well filmed, and the environment being in is it Norway or Sweden? I think it might be Norway, but it could be Sweden. I've completely forgotten as of this moment, so I apologise to people from either of those two countries if I've completely got the book wrong. But yes, the environment being all lots of snow and quite fantastic looking, all the mountains and all the white environments and things look simply beautiful, and it was really well done. I really did enjoy the film quite a lot, actually. And also, it's not the usual film I watch at the cinema. I tend to watch a lot of big sort of films that are worth watching as such with a big screen. This was different slightly, but I've been trying to change the types of things I've been watching at cinema this year. And this is working out rather well, because so far I've watched some really good films that I wouldn't otherwise used to have watched. And the last film is Geostorm. This was directed by Dean Devlin. It stars Gerard Butler, Jim Sturgess and Abby Cornish. Now this is a very sort of traditional big Hollywood movie, but filmed very much for the cinema, because this is a massive sort of end of the world sort of disaster movie, but this one uses current sort of ideas and a few sort of current concerns for its plot point. Basically, global warming has gotten out of control, and one guy, obviously Gerard Butler, he has invented this sort of satellite system which can essentially sort of nullify and sort of remove storms as they are just about to hit. This satellite system sort of comes into effect and the storms just sort of dissipate in the air, so you can sort of make the world have no severe weather, which greatly helps all sorts of farming and all sorts of things over the world, and obviously natural disasters, of course. However, something goes wrong, unsurprisingly, with the satellite system, and the only man that can realistically save the day is, of course, Gerard Butler. He's the guy that designed it. So it's a big disaster movie with people running around, people dying on a mass scale, of course, because it's a disaster movie. People have to die because for it to be worth saving, and it's just well filmed, silly, but it's still fun, and it does deal with the idea of climate change. So it's a disaster movie that actually uses real world and current ideas and indeed current concerns, which I thought was actually quite clever, because a lot of disaster movies deal with things that are really quite sort of far out there and don't really have much meaning to our world now. This does. So I was impressed for that reason, if nothing else. Anyway, with that said, that is actually it for all of the 4 films that I watched in October. If you've watched any of these or would like to, then please leave a comment and we can have a conversation. If there's any films coming up that you fancy seeing at the cinema and you want to talk about, then please let me know, because obviously I might not know about them as well, because I try to keep up with the cinema, but of course there's always things every few months that I will end up missing, without doubt, frankly. And so far people have reminded me of a few interesting films, so I am grateful for that, by the way. So thank you to those people. And with that said, that is it for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.